Okay, continuing on with two-point perspective, I'm going to um, point out here that when you're making two-point perspective, you really want to make sure that you put your points out far enough to really not start to distort or get a fisheye lens. And the quickest way for me to show you that here is since I'm on a new layer, I'm going to grab this. And so imagine if I were to move these points in, you can see what happens to these boxes, right? You can see here that this box becomes very distorted, right? Because the angles are so extreme. Um, so one of the things that's important is just keeping those things outside as far as you can, because that's what real life tends to look like. Now, you can use some forced perspective. In comic books, we use forced perspective a lot because it tends to, A, look a little bit more dynamic and comic booky, and B, uh, it gives you, you can show a lot more in a scene very quickly. But for the most part, you want to definitely start off with your points being really far out on the horizon. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete all that. And now I'm going to do an interior. So again, I'm going to put that horizon line like so. And I'm going to make that a little bit heavier so you can see it. There we go. And here's one of my perspective points, and here's another one. Okay. This time I'm going to start with a line that is pretty short, and I'm going to put it right over the horizon line, like right, um, we'll say right here. Oop. Okay. Now this time I'm going to draw the interior of a room using the same two-point perspective method. So I'm going to grab my ruler and draw a line that starts right here, and really making sure, can I let that fly off there, that it goes that direction. And then another one the other direction. You might have to continue or move your ruler down if you have to. Okay. Same thing for the top. I'm going to grab my ruler. Now, you may be wondering, well, gosh, Matt, why would you use a ruler on your screen? Oops, let me redo that. Why would you use a ruler on your screen when you can just snap a line? Well, part of it is that I want to get you to use and do this all on pencil and paper. And so I want to emulate as much as I can what you'd be doing on paper. Number two, um, a little trick that a lot of people know is that if you have a line, say right here, and if I want to snap a line, I can hit here and I can hold down shift and then tap here, and you can see a line is straight, okay, which is really handy sometimes. All right, but however, what if I want to make this line extend out this direction, right, and go out this way so I can make the interior like I'm doing above, right? At that point, it becomes a guessing game, and it's just time wasting to kind of come here and well, I hit that one right on top. Let's try it this direction. You can say, oh, I missed that. Because if you stop here, then you don't know what's over here, right? So I need to hold down shift and then try that again. Oh, I'm still a little bit off. Let's click it again. Oh, I'm a little bit off again. You can see why that's not the greatest way to do that. Now, if you wanted, you could just sort of grab and manipulate this line as well. But, oops, I'm grabbing the whole thing. But again, for the sake of teaching this and showing how things are done, the fastest way for me is to just, sorry, my computer locked up for a second. The fastest way is to just use a ruler, okay? Okay, so I have this sort of two-point perspective interior of a room, and you can see here I'm going to use my eraser and I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I really don't need these lines that are receding away. I need the interior lines, okay? And just to help clarify things a little bit, I'm going to knock out these as well. Do a little bit of erasing. I want to leave them a little bit there so you can kind of see where we started. Okay, so now you can see we have this sort of interior room. You'll be able to see much more in just a second. So back to my brush. I'm going to turn that down still a little bit more. And let's start to put in maybe some beams that separate this room out. All right. All right, so I have a beam right there. Now, I know that I want to draw through this like we learned in three-point perspective. So if I find center right here and I draw a line from this perspective grid over to here, and sort of find center, you can kind of barely see it. I'll do it a little bit heavier so you can see it better. There we go. Now if I draw a line, grab my ruler, and draw a line through this ever so lightly. Right? We know that we can then find center and get that. That's going to be another pole. Okay. Again, with the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab my ruler, and I'm going to lightly draw through here. Okay. All right, so you can see there's a lot of depth in this room already because the space between here and here varies so much between here and here. But that's, the way perspective works. It recedes off into the distance pretty quickly. All right, so these are going to represent some poles and some beams, like support beam areas that are going to be in this room. And now I'm going to make some ceiling support beams. All right, using my ruler again. Draw in this line here. And then I'm going to draw one for that beam. And one for this beam. All right. Again, you can see there's a lot of flex going on in this room. So now I'm going to find a place like on the floor where these poles are going to come down and kind of line up in a nice way. So again, grabbing my ruler, I'm going to draw through right there. Okay. For this next beam, I'm going to grab my ruler and find that spot there and draw through. And one more time from the third one. All right. Now, I think it'd be kind of nice to have a beam, maybe, I don't know, let's say right here. Just something that looks, like it's dividing the room up nicely. Okay. So if I draw a line from my perspective point to that post, I will find the place to put that pole. Okay. Same thing at the top. Okay. Oops, ruler slipped a little bit. All right, and right there. Okay, so now I can see that my next pole would go right about there, and my third one would go right about there. Okay. Okay, so I can keep elaborating on this room as much as I want, but now I have a perspective grid in place. And so back here, I can say that maybe this is a big bay window or something, like looking out, and use your imagination. Uh, maybe it's looking out into the vastness of space, or maybe it's a oops. Maybe it's space looking out there, and this is like a shuttle bay of some kind. So at this point, it becomes a matter of scale, right? So these big support beams are there. So let's say I want to put in a ship coming in for a landing. Okay, let's take a look at the time. We're right about 10 minutes. So let's pause there, and I'll continue this on the next video.